guy, one of the best in the biz. Play-by-play for the Santa Cruz Warriors, host of Warriors Roundtable on 95.7 The Game, Kevin Danna. Also, Stanford women's basketball play-by-play as well. Kevin Danna, thank you for joining us. How are you doing, my friend?
Well, I am doing great, Alan. It is great to talk to my favorite Sacramento transplant. You know, Alan, I see you with the Jimmer Fredette and the Scallop BCA jerseys.
Oh, my
all
gosh.
we need you to do is to turn in your E40 and Too Short mixtapes for some Mozzie and some Brother Lynch Hung, and the 916 makeover will be complete.
Wow, well done.
What an intro.
Nicely done. Nicely
done. Better than that. Kevin, Alan was telling me yesterday that you were doing the Stanford women's game, and so I checked your Twitter account earlier today, and the last tweet that you have up is Stanford is up 109-27 with a minute and 26 left to go in the third quarter. What happened yesterday? What was that about, and what's it like to kind of call a game as one-sided as what it was yesterday?
Yeah, so it was an exhibition game. They were playing Dominican, a Division II school from San Rafael. I believe the home of Warriors assistant coach Chris DeMarco. I believe he played at Dominican. So you knew it was going to be, a one-sided affair. For me, I was excited just to see the three new freshmen that Stanford had. They were really fun to watch: Nunu Aguirre, Chloe Clardy, and Courtney Ogden. So it was my first look at that at this year's team. So that kept me entertained throughout the game. And, just to see some other players who aren't going to play, the 15 minutes that maybe they play against a D2 school when, UCLA and Utah and USC come to town.
Right. So, Kevin, and we're talking to Kevin Danna, play-by-play for the Santa Cruz Warriors, host of the Warriors Roundtable on 95.7 The Game. We're talking to Kevin Danna. And, Kevin, so you do the play-by-play, and then you fire up the game. You watched the game last night. What were your takeaways from the Kings and Warriors? Just another great matchup. Whenever these guys match up their fireworks, what were your initial takeaways?
Watching the game, it felt like a loss to me for Golden State the entire way through. I mean, when you see Stephen Curry booting it all over the court like he did for the 7 turnovers in that game, you see, Mike Brown always has a good game plan for Stephen Curry. Even if he had 91 points in his last 2 games at Golden One Center, Mike Brown knows how to defend Stephen Curry. He is a defensive guru, and so he's going to make him work for his points. And that was certainly the case. I mean, they couldn't hold on to the basketball. And it just had this feeling, it's like, all right, potential trap game, right? They arrived home 3:30 a.m. from New Orleans Tuesday morning. You see Sacramento doesn't have De'Aaron Fox, and there's a part of your brain that says, well, this is a dub. We beat this team without De'Aaron Fox. We'll handle them, transitive property a lot easier. But, Davion Mitchell gets going from deep. He hits that. And then, especially when Domantas Sabonis banks in that shot to give them the lead late, you're like, all right, this really isn't Golden State tonight. But I think this is a game that, Alan, if you could remember back to when you were a Balian all the way back in, spring of 2023, that this is a game that they would have lost last year, I think, without a doubt, because the vibes, quote unquote, aren't as immaculate or weren't as immaculate as they are this year. Marcus Thompson wrote in The Athletic that this was a win for the culture of the Golden State Warriors, and it really did, have kind of ooze that kind of victory last night, because this wasn't one I thought they should have won.
Kevin, what have you thought about the CP3 edition so far for Golden State? A big thing of last year for the Warriors was being able to try and stay afloat in those non-Steph Curry minutes, and it feels like that's really where CP3 has made his biggest impact. But what have you seen from him this year, and what do you expect to see from him as this year kind of goes along?
Well, Watkins, I love Chris Paul with this team. I mean, you talk about the non-Steph minutes, how they've been a bugaboo for Golden State. Well, Exhibit A last night, on the other side of the coin, Steph was a -6 in a game they won by 1. I mean, how many times is Steph going to, in previous last couple of seasons, was Steph going to be a -6 and Golden State wins that game? Like that did not happen a lot. So just to have Chris Paul out there, and he only got 1 bucket in that game, but 8 assists, no turnovers. And that's the big thing. And I think that brings his total on the season to like 39 assists and 5 turnovers. So close to 8-to-1 assist to turnover ratio or somewhere around there. I mean, it's just, and I love Jordan Poole. I loved watching him. I think you need a guy who is a firecracker like that on your team who can shoot you in or out of a game, and sometimes you just got to live with it. But it has been just a completely different feel with Chris Paul on the bench and how things have steadied nicely for this team. Yes, 18 turnovers last night, but that has been an aberration out of the small sample size of this season thus far.
We're talking to Kevin Danna, play-by-play for the Santa Cruz Warriors, host of the Warriors Roundtable on 95.7 The Game. And that's, Kevin, we have a segment we just did called Beamin' or Dreamin', where we discuss whether we're high on the Kings or not. And it's been the most difficult one yet, because we're trying to figure out, as Chris discussed, moral victories. And when you lay it out the way you laid it out about the Warriors being tired and they're kicking the ball around like they're Pele all over the basketball court, should the Kings and Kings fans feel good about this game or not?
I would 100% feel good about this game if I was a Sacramento Kings fan. You almost beat them without De'Aaron Fox on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this team's winning mid to high 40s, maybe low 50s in my book. Like, all right, they're 2-2. Very small sample size. They have a couple of nice wins. I mean, blowing out Utah on the road, who, could be a decent team this year. They were very competitive all last season, beating the Lakers at home. And then their only two losses are to the Golden State Warriors. I mean, Domantas Sabonis, he left some points. Domantas Sabonis is a little bit better at the free throw line. Maybe that game's different. I mean, he was really good. I mean, Davion Mitchell, if he can be a consistent three-point shooter, that makes him that much more dangerous. They were talking on the Golden State broadcast how he worked out with Brandon Payne, Stephen Curry's trainer and shooting coach over the offseason. I love the team they have together. I love Keegan Murray. Harrison Barnes is very reliable. Malik Monk off the bench is great. I like Sasha Vezenkov, a EuroLeague MVP. So I just really like this team a lot. I still like. I don't think they're going to be the 3 seed, but they were 48-34 as a 3 seed last year. Like, that's kind of an aberration for a record for a 3 seed. I think they're going to be around 48 wins at least, and I would not be shocked if they got to the second round of the playoffs this year at all.
Kevin, I know, being the voice of the Santa Cruz Warriors, you got to watch a lot of Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody throughout the years. What have you kind of thought about where they're at in their development right now? Because it feels like this is the first opening to the season in which they're really a part of the rotation. And in the 2 games against the Kings so far this year, Moody had a really good game last Friday, and then Kuminga was able to put up 12 points yesterday. What have you kind of thought about their development and where they're at right now for this Warriors team?
Yeah, I'll start with Kuminga, and it just looks like he's processing the game a lot better, that he's making a lot better decisions on the court. So many times it felt like early last season, I thought he did a much better job of this as the season went on. And maybe this was because he was sharing a little more playing time with like the likes of an Anthony Lamb, JaMychal Green off the bench last year. But like sometimes he would just get it and go in not the best situations to get it and go. It just felt like sometimes he was looking for his offense a little too much. He's like, I got to make something happen while I'm on the court. I got to make something happen while I'm on the court. He's trusting the process, to borrow a Sam Hinkie Philadelphia 76ers phrase, a little bit more this year, and trusting that either he's going to get it back or he's making the right basketball play by passing the ball up. And he is, he has raised his scoring average this year. He was rebounding the ball better in his first 3 games. That's the big thing with Kuminga, with the coaches. I mean, he's been around 3 rebounds per game each of his first 2 years. He's up to 4.3. Going to last night, he gets 1 rebound, so that average will go down. But, I mean, the athleticism Kuminga has, this guy, when he starts playing starters minutes, whenever that is, he's going to be a starter in the NBA. I think it's clear that he has that kind of talent. He should be getting 7 to 8 rebounds per game. So, he shot it great in the preseason. He scored it great in the preseason. He's averaging double figures. So I really like what I've seen with him. And Moses Moody, I mean, just kind of the steady Eddie of this team. He didn't have a big scoring game last night, but made one of the biggest defensive plays. That big block late on a layup in the fourth quarter. So even if he doesn't contribute offensively, just 1 point last night, you can count on him to make the intangible plays. And last night, his 0 for 3 was an aberration. for what he's done recently. I mean, he had a stretch going back last season where he was like 55% from downtown over X number of games. Like he's got a wetter. He can really shoot it. And, it didn't happen last night, but hey, on a larger sample size, I'm going to trust Moses Moody hitting threes.
Kevin, got to get you out of here talking to Kevin Danna, play-by-play for the Santa Cruz Warriors, host of the Warriors Roundtable on 95.7 The Game. Before we let you go, Smokey had control over Debo, mind control over Debo. Do the Warriors have mind control over the Kings?
I mean, it kind of feels like it right now, especially with a game like last night where it felt like a Warriors loss. For them to pull that one out, especially after that Sabonis bang shot, Clay to hit that shot on a night where he wasn't really shooting it that well, and he was contested in front and behind and still buried it. It kind of feels like it, but I mean, Sacramento's getting at least one of the next two from Golden State. I don't think Sacramento has enough to at least go 1-3 against Golden State in the regular season. I mean, in the playoffs again, we'll see. I mean, I would like Golden State's chances in that series, but obviously I have blue and yellow colored glasses on.
That's right. All right, that's Kevin Danna. Kevin, thank you as always. And look, next time you're in Sacramento, next time you're in my city, you can come out here and we will enjoy ourselves. I'll show you the town. Don't worry about it, man. Thanks for checking in.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. It was a lot of fun.
Anytime.
Kevin Danna, play-by-play for the Santa Cruz Warriors, also host of the Warriors Roundtable. Great stuff from Kevin Danna. Thanks again.